Yo, what's up YouTube? My name's Franco. I've never really made YouTube videos before, but I've been sick for the last 3 days and I stayed up all last night. I'm just feeling like shit in general. So I think it's a perfect time for me to make some fucking dirty ass rhythm with my dirty ass self, you know? Today we're gonna make some rhythm out of burps. And yeah, we're gonna be doing all this in Ableton, and yeah, I'll show you how it's done. Come along with me. Okay, so first thing we need to do is get some burps in here. That was a good one. Nice. Oh, I missed that one. Fuck. We need a long one. Oh, that one wasn't very good. I gotta shake them out. There we go. Oh, that one was good. Oh, I clipped the mic out a little bit on it. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, that one was nice. Nice. That's gonna be our money burp right there. That's gonna be our base. I'm debating whether I'm gonna do this in Serum or if I can just do it in audio. You know what? I'll just try it in audio. We'll see how it goes. First, we're gonna warp this audio clip a little bit. Stretch it out, put some effects on it. First, let's chop it down. We're gonna be making rhythm, so anywhere from 140 to 150. So we'll go 145, because, you know, play it safe. There we go. Dude, this has got some transients on it, bro. We'll save those other burps for later. Right there, this is good. It even has like a pitch bend in it. It's like clipping too. I like that a lot actually. I'm actually gonna use an effects rack that is basically, it's a fat rack. If you've like seen any like Riddim production, people are super into fat rack. It was like, it's kind of like a thing that Virtual Riot I think popularized or whatever. But I got mine from Moonboy. Shout out Moonboy, that guy's sick. He has like a free rack if you want to go grab it off his channel. He makes some really good content. That's actually how I learned a lot of my rhythm production. So this is without the fat rack. Here, and this is with. It's basically just like a bunch of OTT, like multi-band compression, and then a bunch of saturators all turned up a little bit, and then he also EQ'd it a little bit. I guess put some phasers in there as well. Too choppy for my taste, so I'm gonna keep putting saturator on it, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so basically what I did was I set up a sub layer for my bass just to kind of find out what key it's in. I wanted it to be an F. I want my burp sound to be an F. I made a tone that's in F. You can hear here, and then you can hear my burp here. And together, you can kind of tell they're on the same tone, but this is like a little bit sporadic, right? I'm gonna throw an EQ over this real quick, just to give it a little bit less tense. And obviously that sub's way too high. I'm just kind of having it up here so I can figure out what key it's in. Take this, we're gonna drop it down. And there we go. Cool, so I just made basically a patch with Serum, had that sub, and I mashed it up with my overlaying bass, my burp bass. Let's just actually go ahead and rename that. Burp bass, burp bass. Got that burp bass. Now those two are both in the same key. I like pitched up and down in each sample, so it's all matching the sub. And this is what we have so far. Sounds pretty trash, but we're gonna do some more processing to it and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now what I did was I put an auto pan over this bass, which basically, if you don't know, basically you can take an auto pan and instead of using it to pan left and right, this is like a super basic trick, you can use it to basically act as an LFO within Ableton without having to like use Serum or anything like that. But basically you just put both left and right in the same phase, and then you can use the rate to sync it however you want. So I made this little pattern right here. Let's just hear it. And I did the same thing with the sub. I could have drawn it in MIDI, but I'm lazy, so I just dropped the auto pan into the sub as well. And then yeah, and then after that I wanted to make it like sound a little bit more like yoy and like vocally. So typically if you want that to happen, you want to like kind of filter through with stuff. So I added in this little filter here that moves based off of automation that I put in. So if we go, where is it? If we go to EQ8 and then we go to the frequencies, I modulated both frequencies. So I modulated 2 and 3, and I made them kind of come together. If you want to get like a vocal sound, generally a good way to do it is just to make them kind of come together. So without it, it sounds like this, right? And with it, it sounds like this. Gives it that little movement, you know. But we're still not done with this bass, so it still has a lot of ways to go. So I'm gonna keep working on it. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is gonna make a huge difference if you didn't already know about this. This is also a pretty common technique that's found in Riddim. I learned it through Virtual Riot, but if you take a delay and you put it at super short times like this, it basically makes it sound like really metallic-y. So this is without it, right? And this is with it. See, it's getting there, it's getting there. And then also what I did was, I went over here and added just one more EQ just because I didn't really like the sub that, there was still a little bit of sub that was coming through. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the bass sounding a lot better. Kind of more rhythmy, like wonky back and forth kind of style, but doing that with the with the delay kind of made it come out of pitch a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna resample it to another channel and then pitch that up there. There we go. Cool, so I basically took all that shit that we had earlier, I had it transferred to the new track like I showed in the last clip, and then what I did was I just kind of chopped it up a little bit just so it wasn't so fucking boring. This is the main patch that we made out of the burp. And then I left some room for fill. Ugh, there's another burp, damn. Oh, I'm feeling it today, but then what I did basically is I just left a little bit of space for this for these fills and shit, and then I threw some drums over it, you know, basic shit, and together it all sounds like this. There we go. So that's a pretty good start just from that burp. I'm gonna keep working on it and then I'll be back. I also did this other burp bass that's like kind of like a higher end, and it is being modulated in Ableton using the LFO tool, which can be found under I think it's Max for Live audio effects. You can LFO, you can pretty much LFO like anything. So what I did was I just LFO'd this high frequency notch, and it goes back and forth, so it kind of gives it a cool tone. Here's just that patch. You already heard the main bass, this. And then that, I basically just have all the sub cut out of it, and then I put the sub back in. I just made a little bit more complicated drums, like basically rhythm drums are super fucking simple. It's just kick, snare, but I just put a little bit of hi-hats in there and like some reverse hi-hats just to like spice it up a little bit. I already said this, but I took that burp bass serum patch and I put it into audio so that would have more control over it, which is always kind of nice, because sometimes like if you're messing around with MIDI, you'll like fuck up one little setting, right? But if you always like print to audio every once in a while, then you'll actually have like a starting place to go from, so you don't fuck up your whole patch by like just screwing up with like one little thing, you know? But that's basically the entire drop. I'm gonna go ahead and make a build up and then we'll listen to the whole thing. Okay, cool. So I just finished the build up and I polished up the drop a little bit. I pretty much just used burps for all of like the yoinks and the kind of like swing for the rhythm track, and then I ended up using I used just like 2 serum patches, one for the sub and one for like a counter bass, just so that it kind of like is filled out a little bit more. But yeah, let's take a listen.